You're listening to Health Professional Radio. My name is Wayne Buckler, and my guest today is David Sayer. David's the co-founder and CEO of Conexio-Genomics Proprietary Limited. Conexio-Genomics is a Perth-based company in Western Australia. David, welcome to Health Professional Radio.
Thanks, Wayne.
David, with a name like Conexio-Genomics, it's obvious you're doing something in the gene space. Tell us what it is you do and what your products and services are.
Yes, you're right. We are in the genetic services. We're incredibly niche. We make DNA sequencing-based tests for matching unrelated bone marrow donor and patient pairs for bone marrow transplants.
That is very niche.
It is, yeah. Our customer base is largely clinical laboratories and blood service labs in the US and Europe. And we also provide kits and analysis software to the 4 or 5 labs that do this kind of work in Australia.
So, David, how did you come up to be a Fremantle-based firm?
Well, this goes back 13 years. I think last week was the 13th anniversary of the founding of the company. And it was founded by myself and a colleague at the time, Damien Goodridge. We both worked at Royal Perth Hospital as medical scientists. Damien's a computer programmer and I'm a medical scientist. And we'd identified a number of potential products that had potential for application in many labs around the world. But the only way that we could develop them was outside of the hospital system and commercialize them under a company. So and it was just Damien and I at the time, and Damien was writing software. In fact, we were both supporting a sequence analysis software product that was being put to market with a product of an American company who was producing sequencing-based typing HLA kit. And I was based in Fremantle, and so that's really where the company started. There was 2 of us that started it back 13 years ago. There's now 14 of us in Western Australia, and 2 in the US, and Damien's now a resident of Brazil.
I am always astonished in this job at the extent and the depth of entrepreneurship and technology that resides in Australia in the most unlikely places.
Yeah, it was never an ambition of ours really to start a company. It's just that we had some ideas around products to improve the accuracy of matching for bone marrow donor and recipient pairs. And we grew organically and, continued to develop both sequence analysis software and also reagents.
And David, is the bone marrow the end of the product range, or are there further developments in the pipeline?
Well, tissue typing is a moving target, if you like. The more we learn and the more we need to develop. So fortunately for us, we haven't reached the end game yet. We've probably only got to a position now where we can absolutely accurately tissue type. But what that's revealing is that there's probably other genes in the same region as the tissue typing genes that are implicated in successful outcomes in bone marrow transplants. And so now one of our focuses is to identify some of these genetic markers and include them with our tissue typing tests.
That's interesting, and that's I would think, right at the leading edge of the research at this stage.
It is, yeah. I mean, we pride ourselves really on the novelty of our products, and I think we're the first company in this space that's reached out into other genetic regions in the same vicinity as the tissue typing genes.
David, as I mentioned earlier, about 95% of our audience are clinicians in acute care settings, doctors, nurses, allied health professionals. What's the takeaway message that you'd like them to hear from you today?
Well, I think our developments have improved the accuracy of tissue typing and have resulted in improved benefits to patients that require unrelated bone marrow transplants.
And I guess this, for many clinicians, this occurs in the back end of the laboratory where they're not necessarily, brand aware or right on top of what's happening. But I guess that translates to better outcomes for them and their patients.
That's exactly right. I mean, the clinicians are able to identify a much better donor for their patient, and a much better donor results in much better outcomes. This improves, the lifestyle of the patient, and it also reduces clinical care costs.
David, my favourite question in every interview. In every business, in every pursuit, there are misconceptions. What's the misconception that in the genetic field that drives you nuts and keeps you awake at night?
Probably the biggest misconception is that much of this technology needs to come from the largest companies. I think, we've been able to show that with some lateral and out-of-the-box thinking that we're able to develop novel and unique and very much needed products.
I can imagine that's a misconception that would keep you awake at night in your business. Maybe we can dispel that a little bit today. David Sayer, co-founder and CEO of Conexio-Genomics. It's been a pleasure having you with me. For those people who are interested, how can they get in touch with you?
www.conexio-genomics.com. That's our website. Or we can be contacted at david@conexio-genomics.com. I'm happy to receive email.
Thank you for that. Let me just repeat that domain name because I'm forever getting in trouble for mentioning domains and not giving people fair warning to get their pencils ready. So it was www.conexio, Conexio-genomics, Genomics, Conexio-genomics.com. David, it's been a pleasure having you with me. I do appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us on Health Professional Radio today.
Thank you, Wayne.
If you've just missed my conversation with David Sayer from Conexio-Genomics, the good news is there's a transcript. So on our website at www.hpr.fm, there's a full transcript of this interview. You can also listen to the interview again in the sound archive, both in SoundCloud and on YouTube. My name is Wayne Buckler. You've been listening to Health Professional Radio.